So this is almost breaking news about. Well, we sort of commented on this topic because of Shenmue 3 being kickstarted, and then it turned out that Sony was behind it,
right?
Sort of anyway.
So Sony has launched. I mean, the perfect segue from the Shenmue thing is Sony has launched what it calls its first flight program. It's part of Sony's Seed Acceleration program, and what this is a public crowdfunding initiative to fund internal projects that are in R&D that I can only imagine Sony does not have enough faith in to dump their money into. This started kind of last year with a watch.
The FES watch.
Yes, that was crowdfunded under a phantom company called Fashion Entertainments, meaning Sony just flat out fucking lied and made up a company name so that you could crowdfund a major corporation's watch.
That's really weird.
I have so many problems with this on a number of levels. One, crowdfunding was always intended, always at the start, for entrepreneurs and the small guy who's got a big idea, or for people who like video game developers who want to create a sequel to a cult classic game but can't get the big company to front the money. So you go to the public and you say, hey, we need help doing this. Help us do it and you'll get what you want. This was never intended for mega corporations to abuse the public into getting the seed money to fund something. This is incredibly insulting to me because with Sony, this is a company that used to innovate out of their ass with things like Walkmans and such like that. They took risks, and the risks either paid off or they didn't, but more often than not, they paid off. And all this says to me is we are a weak, shaky company that is a shadow of our former selves, and we need you, the public, to take the risk for us because we can't fucking do it anymore.
I think
it's gross.
It's gross. Obviously, it's no secret. People don't realize. They talk about Nintendo, who has a ton of money. Sony's losing billions a year. Dollars. They lost $1 billion last year, which was down from the year before, where they only lost $1.25 billion. So $200 million less they lost last year, and that's only because I guess the PS4 sold better for them last year. That they're still in a hole though. I mean, this is a publicly traded company that you can't lose billions forever before something drastic happens. We already talked about them getting rid of the Vaio computer vision. There's no more Sony computers.
No.
They took a big hit with what the frick was it? What was their version of the little pocket camcorders? Remember they tried that for a bit. That went absolutely nowhere. 3D TVs went absolutely nowhere, and Sony was on the forefront of that. CES 2010 was all about, when I was there, everyone was pushing 3D TVs, and Sony was big-ass freaking 55-inch 3D TVs.
When Vonnie and I bought our our new TV after we got married, we actively looked for one with no 3D because what the hell's the point of paying for a feature that I'm never, ever going to use?
And no one bought into it because people just got finished buying their 40, 50-inch LCDs the year before. Remember, 5 years ago, not everyone had an LCD yet. So they just bought them, like my parents did, and they're not going to all of a sudden just go out and then drop another $3-4 grand because they're a lot more expensive 3D TVs. And then, so I think the issue is this: the issue is in terms of consumer electronics, there isn't that much more to innovate at this particular point in time. TV technology is great. You want to try to push 4K? Had a nice argument with AJ that you were there for about 4K isn't.
Well, I was actually on your side. I mean, 4K.
It's nice, but not needed.
No.
Because cable companies, people don't realize most cable you get in HD isn't even 1080p. It's still 1080i.
Right. And what are more and more people turning to? Streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. Imagine the infrastructure needed to stream 4K.
Yeah.
It was a joke that an actual TV salesperson made to Vonnie and I when we were looking at TVs. And Vonnie and I did not have any interest in a 4K TV. I mean, we looked at it and we were like, is 1080p fine? And we look at the 55-inch TV and we're like, yep, that's good. But, yeah. I mean, the guy was even like, you know what you can watch on 4K right now? Demo reels. Yeah. He's like, that's basically what exists.
Yeah, Blu-ray is in 4K.
Oh.
You know, so, like, why do you need it? And so AJ was trying to be like, oh, you know, you're going to, like, 10 years from now, we're going to be looking at 1080p like it's like it's VHS versus DVD. I'm like, I don't think so, because I think you get to the point of it's called diminishing returns with technology. And are you willing to dish out? Hey, I just spent $500 on my 50-inch TV last year, my LED smart TV. It looks beautiful.
Well, I mean, we're partially a video game podcast. I mean, diminishing returns is easily shown by like the difference in graphics between something like a PS3 and PS4. I mean, it's going to look nicer, but the jumps are getting much, much smaller.
So the point is that for Sony, who's a huge company that was built their empire on selling expensive TVs, expensive audio equipment, DVD players, all that stuff's going away. LCD TVs are cheaper now. You don't need a DVD player. You don't need no one really buys Blu-ray players. That's sort of a skip technology. That's gonna be looked at as Laserdisc 10 years from now. I always believe.
I don't think so. I think it's more popular than that. There are huge Blu-ray sections, but I think the people who buy Blu-ray are people who stumble upon a Blu-ray player through something like a PS3 or a PS4.
Okay. Do you see college kids buying Blu-ray or skipping it? And that's the whole point.
I don't know. I mean, I don't buy a ton, but when I do browse for certain Blu-rays, it is generally younger kids or younger people.
It skipped me. I don't have a Blu-ray.
Well, you're not everyone.
No, but I'm a guy who loves movies.
Sure.
And I don't feel like I need it. You know what I mean?
No,
that's
for the most part, like for instance, the DVDs I have of TV seasons, particularly Mad Men, one of my favorite TV shows. I have no interest in going out and repurchasing those on Blu-ray. There's no reason for me to do it.
So the point is that Sony doesn't have a huge moneymaker anymore. That's they're not going to come out with the TV next year that everyone's going to have to buy. So they're doing these smaller products. Like one's a remote control that they I guess crowdsourced or try to get going. So it's like this isn't going to help you lose get back that loss of $1 billion. I guess a remote control is not going to do it. Like Sony doesn't have much left. So I don't know. Like I said, like Ian said, this is very strange. They did this thing called the mesh as well. So they did a few different things. They should be upfront and honest about it. They should at least say, hey, this is Sony. We're a multi-billion-dollar company that's in the hole, and we need your help because we don't want to use R&D funds ourselves to do this stuff. They should have said, because like with any Kickstarter or Indiegogo, would you like a lozenge, Ian? Might get a lozenge.
I would like to not be sick.
What this could say to everyone is that, wait, that threw me off. There's no guarantee you're going to get something with Indiegogo or Kickstarter.
No,
there's no guarantee you're going to get this watch.
No, you throw. Well, the watch has already been funded, but you throw in for this. Jesus Christ! You throw in for this remote, and there's no guarantee it'll ever come to market. And that's even more disappointing when you're supporting someone who's supposed to be a long-running, solid business like Sony. If you fund a Kickstarter and it doesn't pan out, well, you knew the risk going in. But I feel like with Sony, whether they imply it implicitly or not, there is some expectation that they are going to deliver on what you are funding, and there isn't. They could decide, you know what? Even with the money we've made, this is not worth it, and they take that money and they add it to their coffers for something else.
Sure. So be on the lookout for the next Sony fake company Kickstarter that comes up. Besides 15-year-old game franchises, you'll see maybe the Sony foot massager coming soon.